studio is the place to be. Why? Well, we've got such a range of equipment. Everything from this, remember this, the 10-year-old BBC Micro, to the very latest in handhelds that Kate's got here. This is called a Quick Shot SuperVision. What are you playing on it?
I'm playing Crisp Ball.
Hello and welcome to another drop in the retro gaming ocean with ReplayRetro. I'm Matt, and on today's show we're taking a look at yet another challenger to Nintendo's Game Boy as we journey to the Far East with the Watara SuperVision. Now, as all retro gamers know, Taiwan, China and Hong Kong are sort of specialists when it comes to copying hardware and software rather than creating it from scratch. Some of these products are licensed replicas, while others are just downright illegal copies. But somewhere in between the two is a grey middle area, products that definitely take their inspiration from others while not actually breaching the copyrights protecting them. And it's in this murky third category that the SuperVision finds its birth. Watara had seen the Game Boy establish a seemingly unmovable position as leader of the handheld gaming market. They saw it fend off the powerful Atari Lynx in 1989 and the very impressive Sega Game Gear in 1990, both of which had offered gamers full colour and been far more capable than Nintendo's simplistic grayscale console. Watara realised that to take down the Game Boy, a new strategy would be needed. They would have to beat Nintendo on price without sacrificing performance, and offer a similarly capable machine at a greatly reduced cost. The SuperVision featured an off-the-shelf 4 MHz processor compared to the 4.2 MHz the Game Boy offered, giving similar performance but allowing parts to be sourced much more cheaply. For the screen, Watara chose to keep the 4 shades of grey offered by the Game Boy, but upped the size to 160 by 160 pixels as opposed to 160 by 144 pixels, eliminating the need for accessories such as screen magnifiers. The system's audio capabilities were similar to those of the Game Boy, however the SuperVision also included an extra channel for DMA output. Watara also designed and released a TV adapter for the system, allowing gamers to take their games to the big screen, adding 4 colours a whole 2 years before Nintendo released the Super Game Boy cartridge for the Super Nintendo, allowing Game Boy owners to do the same. To save money, Watara farmed out international sales and marketing of the SuperVision to a number of different companies, resulting in the system going under several different names, including the Hypervision in Argentina, the Videojet SuperVision, the Tiger Boy, and in the UK, the Quick Shot SuperVision, sold via the popular joystick manufacturer QuickShot. Cost-cutting continued with the build quality of the system. Components were simply glued into place, and many owners have found tape and cellophane holding the innards of their consoles together. Packaging was also done very cheaply, with games being sold in plastic blister packs rather than specially designed boxes or plastic cases. Released in 1992 for almost half the price of the Game Boy it sought to dethrone, the SuperVision initially looked almost like a clone of its Nintendo nemesis, with its brick-like design and near-identical button layout, right down to the volume and contrast sliders. However, copyright issues with this design were a little too close to comfort for many of the companies interested in licensing the system for their regions. This led to the more common design with a special tiltable screen, providing the main difference between the SuperVision and the Game Boy, while offering gamers the chance to see the system as a tabletop as well as a handheld. The console came boxed with a copy of Crisp Ball, a set of 4 AA batteries, and a pair of stereo headphones. It was often seen on the UK TV show Bad Influence, and was even advertised as a prize on the new Price is Right, as well as the Nickelodeon show Legends of the Hidden Temple. But sadly for Watara and the many licensees, none of this managed to help the SuperVision get any real traction against the mighty Game Boy. But before we explore why, let's take a look at the system itself and just a few of the games. Here then are your 2 main variants of the SuperVision. You've got the original Game Boy style one there and the flexi screen here. Let's take a look at the Game Boy style one first. You can see it is very much like the Game Boy. I've actually got an original Game Boy here for comparison. And you can see the only real differences straight away are the start and select buttons are repositioned. It is obviously bigger. Your D-pad is instead just 4 buttons. And the screen is the core difference. You can see here, without any doubt at all, that the screen on the SuperVision is far bigger than the Game Boy's screen. And as much as it doesn't look like it's drastically bigger, it does make a big difference to gameplay. The bigger the screen, the better. In terms of thickness, it's not a million miles away. They're both roughly the same there. You can see the average dimensions there. It's essentially, more or less, it's taller and a tiny bit wider. That's about the only real difference. On the sides, contrast and DC input ports are in the same position. And on the other side, your volume. And obviously here you have an external connector, but not on the original SuperVision. So back to just the SuperVision itself then. We have our A and B buttons, select, start, pause, directional controls. On the top you have your power switch, which will not switch on unless there's a game in the slot. DC, contrast. On the back you obviously have your cartridge slot, your usual sticker full of information, and your battery bay, which takes 4 AA batteries, as you can see there. Cool thing here, battery bay is hinged. So a lot of Game Boys on eBay tend to have missing battery covers, because obviously they pop off and you lose them, whereas this is hinged, so actually to take it off requires extra force. That's quite a clever little way of doing it. It means that a lot of these on eBay do have their battery covers with them. I haven't actually seen any that don't. So that's a really good plus point for the SuperVision there. But other than that, it's a fairly uneventful, unexciting copy. Moving on then to the second version, which is this is the quick-shot one, of course, as this is a UK spec. You can see it's a completely different shape. The screen, once again, it's nice and big. This time you have a D-pad, although it's very obvious that it is just the 4 buttons connected together. Select, pause, start, B-A again, there's your speaker. Same rough kind of design concept. You have this almost separate looking thing there, and you have that on the Game Boy-esque version as well. Around the side, again, DC, contrast, other side, volume, and you now find the communication port for linking several of these together. A few people believe that the communication point is also for the TV link, but it's not. The TV link actually goes into the cartridge slot. On the back, again, sticker of information, and once again, 4 batteries. Not hinged this time. Now, the core thing about this model was obviously they wanted you to see it as both a handheld device and a tabletop. And so what it can do here is, if you see the side here, this rubber hinge, it bends, has a nice little bend in it there, so that you can sit it down and the screen will come up and you can play like that. It's not really brilliant in that mode because the screen doesn't come up far enough to avoid any kind of glare. But it is actually quite good in handheld like this. I actually prefer to use it in handheld mode with the screen bent. Some versions also come with like a little kickstand on the back here so that it will support itself rather than doing this. There you go. So that it will function more as a tabletop. The bend is just a gimmick essentially, but it does work. I like it, especially like I say in handheld mode. I feel it's more comfortable with the bend than it would be if it was flat and I had to lift it up like that. You can see it's just a more natural position to have the bend. So, the games then come in these lovely blister packs. As I said before, there's no kind of real customization to the packets. This is just your usual vacuum formed blister. There's a thin piece of card in there, some toilet roll instructions, and a little plastic bag for keeping the cartridge in. So nothing spectacular really. A few of these do have more artwork on them, but for the most part the artwork on these games looks like it was done by a 4-year-old. You get some information there. Action shooting game where you can command the latest high-tech fighter plane. Blah blah blah. Actually showing the original Game Boy style brick there. And then once you get the games out, They look like this. This is your little plastic bag. Open your little plastic bag, and within you will find the cartridge. This is Hero Kid. Some wonderful artwork there. Nothing on the back. Nice little grip at the top for pulling the cartridge out. Exposed connector, which I'm not a big fan of, but obviously it does make it look a little bit different to the Game Boy cartridges. And then, of course, you have your plastic bag and your toilet roll paper instructions. Cartridges simply go into the back, like that. Let's press down. And once that's in, you're ready to play Hero Kid on your Watara SuperVision. When I switch this on, see if you recognise the startup sound. Yep, that's right, that is blatantly the Game Boy startup sound. However, musically, unfortunately, similarities end there. The music for this game is awful. This is, of course, Hero Kid. You can see some nice big sprites. The advantage of having a bigger screen. In fact, he even looks like he's jogging on the spot there, is he? Look at that, that's quite cool. I like that, he's jogging on the spot. But you can see, the second the screen starts moving... Ah, rubbish. I hit that because... Oh, what? Ugh. As soon as the screen starts moving, everything blurs quite a lot, and it's very difficult for you to see what's occurring. Let's try again. Get these cherries or apples, whatever they are. Okay, now we will try to jump these rocks. It's impossible to jump that, I don't care what anyone says. Ah, I jumped straight into the fire. Marvellous. We got further than last time, one more life. Come on, we can do it. Sure, I look like a girl with enormous breasts. Okay, here we go, we're going to do it this time. Ignore the cherries. Fuck. Alright, at least get over the fire. Rubbish. The jump on this game is absolutely bloody awful. Try once more. Come on. Continue. Ah! What? I'm jumping! You can see me jumping, right? I'm jumping at the last possible second. It's not possible for me to jump any later than I am doing. And I'm still hitting things. For the love of all things holy, get right up to the fire. What? He didn't even jump that time! Okay, this time I'm going to try and get my fingers in shot so you can see I'm not actually lying. Come on. And jump. And jump. For fuck's sake. Oh, there you go. Jump! Oh, for the love of God. I'm now going to admit, I've actually played this about 20 times and not managed to get past that fire yet. Let's listen to the fantastic music again. Next! You can see here the SuperVision text has come up as Travel Mate instead. That was just another name for the SuperVision. Oh no. Level select. Beginner, I think. Do 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 do. I am going to eat your brain. I am going to eat your brain. You will never think again. This is now stuck in your head. Ha 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 ha. Okay, let's play the game. So you can see, Crystal Ball is essentially just a copy of Breakout. It's not a bad copy, but unfortunately, the screen blur. Oh, what the hell? Unfortunately, the screen blur does make it difficult because the ball is moving at quite some pace, as you would expect. And it's very difficult to see where it is because of that screen blur. Also, the ball only comes off the bat at 90-degree angles. So there's not really a lot that can happen in this game. Ah, there you go. Almost cleared the first screen. But yeah, that was the pack-in game. And it's not bad, but again, it suffers from that motion blur. Oh, that was different. I like that. This is, as you can see, Treasure Hunter. Come on, focus. Focus. Oh, I think I know what kind of game this is. Bloody hell, that music's awful. Is that rock going to fall if I go left? That'll prove what kind of game this is. Yes. Collect the treasure, don't get crushed by rocks. Good, important, wise words to live a person's life by, I feel. Don't get crushed by rocks, but try to collect all the treasure you can. See if I can angle this better so you can see. They don't call me Indiana Jones for nothing. They don't actually call me it. Gotta take risks in life. It's another important lesson this game teaches us. Dig over there, go in here. Sometimes apparently the rocks just disappear. This game actually doesn't suffer too badly from the same screen blur as the other one because it moves at a much slower pace. The screen is actually perfectly good, and if you look at the size of the graphics and the sprites, I prefer this to Game Boy. Everything is chunkier, bigger, a lot easier to see. I can't believe I didn't die then. Everything is just a lot easier to see. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, that was a silly mistake. And look at it, the game tortures you. It doesn't even kill you. Can I commit suicide? No. When you're dead, you just have to sit there and wait for eternity to come crashing in around you. Yeah, I quite like that. Apart from the god-awful music, that game is quite good. Doesn't suffer from the screen blur very much. Shows off the graphics capability of the machine. And yeah, I think I could enjoy playing that. Let's have a look at one more game. Ah, there you go. We're back to ripping off the Game Boy sound effect. This is Chimera. Whatever, directional A, I think we'll try. Oh, I've paused. Oh, this is a very cool isometric game. No idea what that text at the bottom of the screen is saying, even if I look at it with my naked eye. Let's have a look. Seem to have score, food and water ticking away quite a lot. Let's go up here. Oh, I'm in another room. It's a very cool isometric game. That text at the bottom that's scrolling by, the screen blur is making that completely unreadable. What's this box? Can I go up to it? No is the answer to that. Don't go up to the big box or you'll die. Am I dead? Do I have to reset this game to be undead? You are... Well, that text at the bottom seems to be saying something about me being dead. No idea. The screen... Because, again, this is a slow-paced game, the screen blur isn't affecting it much. And it's a very cool isometric game. The Game Boy definitely couldn't have made this look as good with its smaller screen. Can I not have this thing? What is it? No? Okay, I'll just walk away. But that text that's scrolling at the bottom every now and again is just completely... What the frig am I doing here? It's just completely indeterminable due to the blur. Oh, what's down here? Basically, it seems like anything that's slow-paced, this machine can handle really, really well. My apologies for the fact that you really probably cannot see this. Anything that's slow-paced, the machine can handle really well. But unfortunately, if it's not slow-paced... Oh, Where the hell am I? If it's not slow paced, if things are moving a bit quick, then it's just a blur. So with that text moving so fast at the bottom, it's just impossible. But otherwise, definitely a very capable machine. Oh, I'm dead again. Wonderful. Clearly, the SuperVision's blurry screen played a big part in its failure, preventing potential buyers from being able to see just what this hardware was actually capable of, while the poor design of the D-pad, which Watara did eventually redesign, only exacerbated this problem. But far more problematic for Watara was the range of games for the system. Crystball had not managed to become the killer pack-in app that Tetris had been for the Game Boy, and the vast majority of third-party developers had ignored the system completely, leaving Watara to design the majority of the games. This left the SuperVision with mostly cloned games such as Eagle Plan, a copy of Sega's arcade smash hit Afterburner. The only real third-party support came from Taiwanese developer Seishin, who were known for producing unlicensed Nintendo Entertainment System games. They created a good number of games for the SuperVision, including Pyramid and Penguin Hideout, both of which they had released on the NES previously, albeit without the Nintendo seal of quality. While these simplistic short-form games were undoubtedly the staple of early handheld gaming, they simply couldn't compete with the enormous cast of characters and story-driven games Nintendo had to offer. Worse still, Nintendo announced a new basic pack for the Game Boy. With a reduced price, far closer to that of the SuperVision, the market leader had stripped their competitors' edge away from them, leaving the SuperVision dead in the water within just a year of its release. Watara then cancelled their planned release of an upgraded full-colour TV link, and the few completed compatible games formed the last of the 65 or so cartridges released for the system. One licensee, Magnum International, attempted to re-release the system in a new brightly coloured case, packed in with several games. However, with games production finished, this plucky challenger had nowhere to go. The SuperVision is an often overlooked console, which many people believe is just another underpowered junk clone. But the fact is, the system was a capable competitor in almost every respect. But as we've discovered so many times, great hardware is nothing without great games, and great games are exactly what the SuperVision lacked. Maybe with a few good third-party developers on board, the story could well have been different. But Nintendo were well known for keeping a tight grip on developers, and most feared to stray too far from the industry giant's side. And the rest, as they say, is history. That's all we've got time for on today's show, but don't forget to follow @ReplayRetro on Twitter for more information, and of course subscribe and click the like button if you've enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Replay Retro.